Cape Breton is known for its rugged beauty, and it seems to have a magnetic pull for those looking to take on bold new adventures. In this next interview, I'm joined by Colin McAllister, one half of the famous design duo Colin and Justin, who recently took on one of their most ambitious projects yet, transforming a rundown hotel in Louisbourg into the stunning North Star Resort. Colin joins me now to share how this project came to be and the journey they've had with it so far. Welcome to What She Said, Colin.
Hey, thanks for having us. How are you doing?
I'm great. Well, I just visited your resort, so I had a wonderful time there for a couple of days. And what I'm wondering is what drew you and Justin to Cape Breton in the first place, and what made you decide to take on this massive hotel renovation in Louisbourg, of all places?
I think as both being Scottish, I think it was, that whole kind of Celtic kind of magnetism that you get from Nova Scotia, and especially from Cape Breton, was really, really appealing to us. And I think we were both feeling a little bit homesick. We hadn't been back to Scotland in quite a while. And I think we were just craving some tartan and some whiskey and some good banter in our lives. And actually, luckily, we've traveled a lot in Nova Scotia and Cape Breton prior to buying the hotel. So we like the province, I like the people. There's a different vibe there. And there is just something incredible about being so close to the ocean. But most people go there on vacation. It's not everyone that thinks, okay, let's buy a 20-bedroom hotel, let's create
Right.
restaurants, and let's do it during COVID. Maybe we do things slightly differently. Justin was super passionate about this whole project from the get-go. I took a bit of warming up to it because it just seemed like such a right turn for both of us. You read these stories of people who suddenly have a kind of turn in their lives. I was like a very, very early midlife crisis, and very early. And you think, what are they thinking? And they're waiting to something that they have no experience of. And that's exactly what the pair of us have done in Louisbourg with North Star. Suddenly, we've inherited a 20-bedroom hotel and we're running it, and we have staff and responsibilities and guests and very grown up kind of things to deal with. But it's been magnificent. It's been absolutely magnificent. And I think for me, it's been the thing that I wanted. Justin and I had talked about the idea that as human beings, we're being pushed further away from each other. We think we're communicating more online and texting and emojis and all of the above. I actually feel like we're kind of less personal than we used to be. And we had a chat like prior to COVID saying, we need to I want more humans in my life. I need to see people face to face. I want to see how tall they are. I want to know what they smell like. I want to feel their energy and their auras. And then suddenly COVID came along and it pushed people even further apart. And I think the hotel is a reaction to that. I think we both had a panic that we're losing our humanity. And I think that Louisbourg and Cape Breton is the answer.
Oh, I feel that in such a deep level. I really do, Colin. And Louisbourg, though, is a small, close knit community, and coming in as an outsider can sometimes be tricky. So, how did you work with the locals during this project, and what was the response as you began to transform the North Star?
I think there's a history of people who go to small places, especially like, I don't know, islands, and suddenly you're the person that's from away, as they like to say out in Atlantic Canada. We're lucky we have a secret weapon that battles our way through that. It's almost like a shield, a cloak of acceptance. And that is that we're Scottish. And their little Celtic DNAs are all twitching away. And I think they want to say, oh, you're from away, but instead they say, well, you took your time getting here, which is a nice way to be. I think also, we're not some entity. Justin, we're not a corporation in Toronto, in a big city, making decisions about people's lives in a town of 700. We were there from day one, rolling up our sleeves, getting involved in all the grit as well as the glamour, and I think that it's just who we are. It's who we've always been. It's how we work. And I think that actually really kind of wins over people because they're like, okay, you know what? You're exactly like we are. You wouldn't ask us to do one thing that you wouldn't do yourselves. So everyone else just rolls their sleeves up and makes it happen. And it was a weird thing, in the first year, we decided we kind of learned something really quick, probably in the first couple of weeks. And that was that we were going to positively discriminate with our choice of staff. Sounds terrible, doesn't it? But we were only going to employ Atlantic women who were 50 and over.
Oh my God. I think I just fell in love with you.
Because all the Atlantic women we met who were 50 and over all rolled their sleeves up, all had a great can-do attitude, and all helped us create this space, you know. So we were like, okay, we need our gals in there.
Honest to God, my heart just burst. That is the most amazing thing you could have said on What She Said. I think maybe you researched that answer perhaps, but I don't know. That was great.
Absolute truth. I've still got all my gals as well. So if you're listening, well done, ladies.
So you've been transforming spaces on TV for years, obviously, but this project seemed particularly personal. So was the experience of renovating the North Star different because it was your own investment and vision? Did it feel more challenging or rewarding compared to other projects you had done?
I think if you've renovated properties in the past and maybe they were for the market, then there's an element of you being personal about them because obviously it's your work. You know, it's not just a box that people move into. You put your stamp on it, your individuality on it, and that's something that we've both been really strong about. You know, it's something you grow into. You don't become that person overnight. You know, and I think it's part of our DNA of being British, working a lot in design in the UK, working in Australia, working in continental Europe, and then coming to Canada and doing a lot of designing here. I think that's got us to this point. So producing a hotel is something that we've always wanted to do because we love hotels. We love hoteliers, you know, because we're journalists first and foremost. That's where we come from, print media. We still write every week for Post Media, for the National Post. So we've interviewed a lot of hoteliers, and they were always telling us, you know, just about this fabulous way of having people there who were guests of yours, you know, and you had to look after them, and what a great, great, great privilege that was. We both love that whole kind of thought process. And we wanted to do something with the hotel. The hotel was really well looked after, but it was just a bit dated. And so we wanted to just update it. We love potential. You know, it's what we love more than anything is potential. And the hotel had it just in heaps.
Well, I have to tell you, you know, obviously you've mentioned you took a very hands-on approach with this project, but I was quite surprised to see you and Justin involved in every single aspect from waiting tables. You know, I've heard that you even make the beds and do some of the housekeeping. Why is this aspect of it so important to you?
Well, you know, it's your name above the door. So you have to be on it. You know, you have to know what's happening. And we're not control freaks and we're not micromanagers, but we do care. You know, and I think that's the lovely thing about this whole project. I think, you know, it's seasonal. So it's not like you're there 365 days a year. It feels like an event, you know, come May, we're like, okay, you know, it's time to get back. The call of the Cape is there. And we want to get back to Cape Breton. And it is just the most delightful way to spend a summer. You know, you're on the ocean, the Atlantic is on our doorstep. You know, people download apps to hear the tide. We just open a window and it just feels so, so special. So I think first and foremost, we were captivated by that whole experience of being in a small community in Atlantic Canada. And then thinking, okay, we want to share this experience with others. We want it to be authentic. We want it to be quality. And we want it to be rewarding, you know, and I think that's really important. We didn't want anything that was too fussy. We wanted something that just gave you that wonderful exposure to the ocean. And luckily, you know, the hotel sits on the most perfect peninsula with unbroken views right across the
It
Louisbourg
really
Harbour,
does.
out to the ocean. You can see the fabulous 18th century fortress of Louisbourg from the hotel. You can see the beautiful Louisbourg lighthouse, the site of the first lighthouse in Canada, which has just been fully refurbished. So it's looking glamorous and fabulous. And then just coastal trails. I mean, if that is a thing that's totally blown me away, that we work really, really hard, but we always make time to get out and get along the coast, you know, because just honestly, being there does something to you. It energizes you. It blows away the cobwebs. It just makes you feel like you're alive.
I couldn't agree more. The design of the North Star strikes a balance between chic and cozy with a nod to local coastal culture. Can you tell us a bit about your design inspiration and what you wanted guests to feel when they stay there?
I think the design for the North Star, it's about having an appreciation for the ocean. Knowing that you're in a coastal resort, but not being hokey. It's not navy and white with life preservers hanging on the walls and giant anchors everywhere. It's about trying to kind of dial that back a little bit. I think texture was really important as well. Rather than having jarring colors, we wanted everything to kind of blend into each other, so there was a softness and a quietness to the design, because we don't want to be loud and compete with that wonderful sense of peace that you get from being on the ocean. So that was really, really important to us. And just having textural layers in there so that it felt rewarding. And so that for you, the guest, you could think, okay, well, I'm going to be beautiful and cool, and there's air conditioning in every room, views of the ocean. You're going to feel cool and collected and really enjoy yourself being there. But there's other layers there. When we get into fall, things start to get a little bit cooler at night. There's nice little pashminas and wraps and things that you can drape around yourself so that you feel that somebody is really taking care of you. And I think that's important, and it's the small things that add up just to make you feel that someone actually cares. Like, we make sure all the rooms are set when you arrive, so the lighting's on, there's music playing in the rooms, they're set to the temperature that you would need them to be, whether it was super warm, as it was all summer in Cape Breton, so the air conditioning was on all the time, or we'll crank up the heat, in the cooler times of the year.
It's a big shift, though, from designers to hoteliers. Have there been any aspects of hospitality that have surprised you?
I think just the fact that you're on 24/7, and that's the thing. I mean, we're used to that, we've been in the public eye for, I don't know, nearly 30 years. And so you learn that it's part of your craft, that you have to be on at all times. So it's fine. And also, when it's your business, you wake up in the morning, and even the most mundane things, you just approach them with gusto because it's yours, and it's like something boring like a delivery day, where you have to move older things to the front, put newer things to the back, take notes of how many came in, how many went out, all of that, which is actually deathly dull. Being honest, it still feels brilliant because you think, okay, we weren't bringing these things in, we didn't sell them, and if we didn't sell them, we didn't have any guests. So there's a real push for you just to be rewarded. And I think that's something about being there as well. It influences how you choose to view your day. And that's up to you. That's up to no one else. If you hate your job, if you want to stay in bed all day because the prospect just turns you off, you got to do something about that. And sometimes it's about either changing your lifestyle, or it's about changing your attitude as well. There's a set of things we all have to do. We all have bills to pay, so just approach it with gusto. Get a bit of love in your life. Get a great partner to share it with you as well. Nobody wants to be on their journey on their own, and hopefully you'll have a perfect life.
So, what's next for the North Star? Do you have plans to expand, add new features, perhaps take on another project in the region?
Well, we love our plot of ground, and we've got 5 acres. So Daddy got space. We got some space to move into. So we would actually like to add some little architectural cabins to the site with a view over the harbour, and just make more of that. We'd like to explore kind of maybe getting to the Barrachois, which is a little inlet to the side of us, a little protected sea inlet, and maybe put a dock in there and get some like ocean canoeing and stuff done, kayaking, which would be pretty fantastic. I think just always adding, we're always sweetening the rooms. We change things all the time. We change out the furniture year upon year. Things that we didn't like, things that were just in because that was all we could get at the time. We're always kind of weeding out these things, So I think keeping it organic keeps it interesting as well, both for us and for our guests, So I think, just to continue the greatness of North Star, and just this year has been particularly fantastic because it's year 4. And I think this year, I think it took us 4 years to kind of figure this bit out, how we could actually run North Star and do our day job. So all summer, we were still working on our newspaper columns. We have a magazine, Cabin Magazine with a K, Cabin Magazine, which you can see online and you can get in print, which is all about cottage country. It's all about Muskoka, the Kawarthas, and Haliburton County. And it's about luxury lifestyle. It's about being the best that you can in these areas as well. And I think it is just that whole escapism. Anything that involves water seems to be part of our DNA now. You know, we have a cabin in Ontario on a lake, we have a hotel right on Atlantic Canada, and even our condo in downtown Toronto, we can see clearly right across Lake Ontario. I think, I mean, Justin's an Aquarius and I'm a Capricorn, so I should be kind of grounded and earthy. So maybe his little aquaticness has influenced me.
I love it. So, for anyone considering a visit to Cape Breton and staying at the North Star, what can they expect from their stay, and why should they add this to their must-visit list?
I mean, you should come to Cape Breton first and foremost because it has been Conde Nast Traveller's best island in North America for a good few years in a row, which is fantastic. And Conde Nast Traveller know what they're talking about. It is compact. It's very small. And it is absolutely beautiful. It's like a mini slice of Scotland. If you're on the Cabot Trail, really famous trail, it is just incredible. You get these beautiful winding roads and kind of cliff climbs, almost like you would get, you know, if you were near Cannes in the south of France. It's got that kind of dangerous roadway feel, which is fantastic. And then you can come south to Louisbourg. We have the 18th century fortress of Louisbourg from Parks Canada, which is incredible, which is actually a town. You know, it's not a museum. It is a full town with cobbled streets and a beautiful French chapel. It's spectacular, you know, and then there's the lighthouse there. So we get a lot of guests for that. A lot of guests come for the trails, you know, which is incredible. It's very flat where we are as well. So I think if you're a cyclist, not a lot of traffic either, you know, in a town of 700 people. It's going to be perfect for you as well. We have a restaurant called The Bothy that's attached to North Star. And people love that. It's a Quonset hut, which is a kind of semi, kind of like metallic building, but the whole thing is lined in timber. So it's really warm and escapist. We have live music there from great local Celtic musicians. And people love that. You know, we've got great fresh seafood, beautiful halibut that comes from the wharf. You know, we're always trying to get local produce in there. All the honey comes from the Tuckamore Homestead, which is on the other side of Sydney. Fabulous young couple who came back to the Cape in their 30s and opened a homestead. Our greens come from our neighbour's garden, Back Beach Gardens. You know, people crunch on these beautiful microgreens on our salads and go, how come that tastes so fresh? You can taste the earth. Well, it was in the ground 20 minutes ago. You know, it's fantastic that we can do that. You know, and there's a great network of local people who are there trying to make a go of this fabulous lifestyle.
So, where can people go then, Colin, to, you know, book their trip to the North Star? Are there social channels they can follow?
Yes, if you look up Hello North Star, it's on Instagram and on Facebook. You can go to hellonorthstar.ca, which is our website. And you're going to look at our website, and there's a lot of pictures on there of the resort. There's a great drone photograph of the whole peninsula and stuff. And you're going to see there that for a brand new website, there's something missing. It doesn't have a booking mechanism. And it's because we don't want technology to push you further away. We want you to phone us. You're going to call us. How unusual.
Oh my God, I love that.
There's a phone number. You're going to call and you're going to speak to us. You're going to speak to our divine Mrs. McDonald, who is a gay icon and a local legend. Fantastic. She was featured in Hello Canada this year, one page ahead of Margot Robbie. That's as much as a legend as she is. You're going to speak to one of us and we're going to ask you questions about when you're coming, and you're going to be blown away when we actually want to know what time you're going to come in so we can make sure your room's ready for you.
Incredible. Colin, I can't thank you enough for obviously my stay, which was fantastic, but for joining me today. So thank you so much.
You are so welcome, and let's be having you back with us very soon.